Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 104 of the Seezus Show. It's great to be back. Took a little hiatus. In case you guys didn't know, my co-host Trade Day XXIV, what it do, baby, went to Jamaica, so we want to take a little break as well too. But we're back better than ever, and I'm excited to get into today's hottest topics. But before I get into today's hottest topics, just want to let you guys know, appreciate the support moving forward. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at TheSeezusShow, at Seezus, at TraderXXIV on all major platforms as well too. And obviously, to my new audience, to new listeners, whatever you want to call it, I like to rehash on the last episode. On the previous episode, which was episode 103, which was released March the 1st. Can you believe March the 1st? The whole narrative is James Harden, the league MVP. He was going on a tear as well, too. But we talked about a couple different things. The Celtics struggles, the Miami Heat slowly coming back on track. All-star reserves, LeBron versus Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Kobe being the NBA logo, Katie's injury, and much, much more. So I hope you guys enjoyed that topic. I hope you guys have been following the page. We try to update on anything that's going on around the NBA as well too. And then also, without further ado, let's just get into the hottest topic because I am excited. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my boy, for my co-host, for that boy, Trade Day XXIV. What it do, baby? Let's get it.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Trey Day all day. Happy first day of spring. You already know the spring equinox, however you want to say that. Warmer weather coming, hot boy, hot girl, whatever you want to say. Just be safe about all that stuff. But you already know it's me and your boy Sir Caesar's here with another hottest topics in the NBA. What's good with your Sir Caesars?
I'm good, man. Well, first and foremost, I almost forgot it was it's spring. One of my friends I was chilling with yesterday, she told me that it was spring, and I was like, I thought it was still January. I was tripping. I was like, yo, I'm tweaking right now. 'Cause it
Oh
literally
man,
feels like spring. I ain't gonna hold you. I don't mean to, you know, like
it's that
gas it
West
and shit like
Coast.
that. But it feels like spring every single day. I mean, it's been kind of cold past like 2.5 weeks, but every now and then we'll get like a 7-degree weather. So like Friday, I went to the beach. Like I was just chilling. You know what I'm saying? So it's nice over here, but I'm glad that it's spring. One thing I don't miss about the East Coast is
Mhm,
definitely the pollen. I'm highly, highly, highly sensitive to pollen.
mhm.
And I don't
Okay.
believe that we have a lot here, but I'm gonna find out eventually if my eyes start to be tweaking and stuff like that, whatnot. But I'm
That's
more
funny.
so, excited to hear, you had a little, a little getaway, like
Excursion.
a little mental getaway excursion, whatever you want to call it, out in Jamaica.
Yeah,
So
man.
how was that?
It's funny, man. 'Cause like I went to Jamaica and then all like the Instagram shots are out in Jamaica, which is funny. And but I was thinking earlier, I
Trendsetter
was
over
like
here.
I was thinking, the Drake's line, he was like, no resorts, only villas or whatever like that, however he worded that. And I was like, I hope that the girls keep calling for the villas because that means the price on the resorts are gonna go down. And lucky me, I'll stay at a resort. I ain't too proud. So
Mhm.
but nah, man, the little excursion was cool, man. Got out, got away for a few, man. A lot of all you can eat, a lot of all you can, consume, whether, water, drank as much water as I could the whole time.
Mhm.
So it was good. It was a good time. It was weird coming back and trying to assimilate into the American style of doing things again. But hey, I got to clear my head for a few days. Got a little different outlook coming into spring, so primed and ready. Been in the gym last. It's funny. I didn't work out for the trip, so I was like, man, I'm just gonna go out there and get off anyway. But now I'm like back in the gym because I came from the trip. A lot of stretching, a lot of core stuff, a lot of just getting back right, and so I can continue to flourish. So it was a good time, man. It was a good time.
Nice, nice, bro. So let me get ready for the second half of the NBA season.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's the All Star break. That was my All Star
Yeah,
break.
yeah. No, that's dope. That's dope, man. I'm going on a little mini trip, kind of like yourself, but mine is gonna be for like 2 days. So my cousin's turning 25 this upcoming Saturday on 27th, and we're going snowboarding.
I was lit.
Um, yeah, so I just got the jacket, I got the goggles, I got the gloves. I just need to get some pants, probably some woven socks, and probably
Yeah,
like a thermal, and we're gonna be good to go, man. It's
that's what's
called Big
up.
Bear Lake, about 2 hour drive from where I'm at. So we're gonna leave Friday. Um, ski Saturday, and then Sunday we just gonna dip. So
Y'all must be
hopefully
going
I don't
straight
break my
up.
ligament. Yeah, straight
Y'all
up.
must be going straight vertical like the whole drive because you in
Yeah.
sunny California, so you must be going right to the mountaintop.
Yeah, man. So it's gonna be interesting. Got a nice ass Airbnb. And it's one of those things where it's like I longboard. I had a little stint longboarding back in the day,
Okay.
but I mean it's been like what 5 6 years. But I'm hoping it's kind of like when you're riding a bike and you haven't ridden a bike in a while, you just get
Yeah.
back to it like that. Now obviously it's a little different because for the most part when I was skating back in the day, it was on a flat surface,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
sometimes I will bomb hills as well too. So we'll see how that goes. But I already have that mindset that I'm gonna fail already in order to succeed. So I really can't lose. So I'm gonna
Okay.
have a good time.
Okay.
So as long as I don't tear or break anything, that would be
You'd be all
ideal.
right
I already know I'm gonna fall a lot, but once I get the hang of it, it's gonna be dope. So I'm
for
looking
sure.
forward to that for sure, man. But without further ado, man, let's get into today's hottest topics on episode 104. Breaking news yesterday, in case you guys didn't know, LeBron James went out and suffered a severe high ankle sprain yesterday. It was crazy. It was against the Atlanta Hawks, happened in about the second quarter, and it looked like a dirty hit, but at the end of the day, it was a loose ball. A guy dove for it, and
Yeah.
injuries are just part of the game as well too. So it was actually Solomon Hill. He ended up tweeting a little later on, would never disrespect the game and take a player out purposely. He knows that. That's all that matters to me, praying for a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
So this is pretty breaking news, I'd have to
Yeah.
say as well too. And LeBron went on to tweet, "There's nothing that angers and saddens him more than not being available for his teammates. He's hurt on the inside, hurt on the outside, so the road back from recovery begins now. Back soon, like I never left as well too." So when we think of LeBron James on the court, or just in general, we think of just a certain level of excellence. Like he's set the bar on how you should carry yourself on and off the court. And most importantly, when we're just focusing just on basketball, when you think of LeBron James, you think of not only dominance, but you think of durability. And I'm pretty sure this guy's played what at least 95% of his games, man.
Hmm.
Like that, like
Hmm.
that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be a little weird, um, because like I said, he's this season he's played all 41 games. He's been playing great this year. Start off a little slow, obviously. The fast turnaround from the bubble. And starting a couple of days before Christmas. Averaging 26, 8 and 8, 51% from the field, 37% from three. And they're the third seed in the West as well too. 28 and 14, only 2.5 games behind first place. And then obviously they're behind Utah and the Suns. And from what I gathered from research, obviously it's still early. Maybe they have to go a little bit more in depth about it. But a high ankle sprain can take up to anywhere to 6 to 8 weeks,
Mm.
just to return to normal activity as well too. So sometimes that can take a little bit longer as well. So they're saying a general rule of thumb is that bones take roughly 6 weeks to heal, while soft tissues take around 3 months to heal. And when I think of this high ankle sprain injury, as far as recent with an NBA player, I think of Christian Wood. He had a
Hmm.
high ankle sprain and he was out from February 6th and came back February 18th. And he missed, obviously a shortened season, only 72 games. He missed 17 games.
Sheesh.
Um, so that's just kind of crazy. And obviously, like when you think of LeBron, you think of probably the most athletic slash durable player in sports history. Now he's going on the year 36, right? So I'm a
37.
little worried, like what's gonna happen? And when I think about LeBron, I mean, he may be a rare exception where he only needs about 2 to 3 weeks, so half of the time as well too, because anytime LeBron get hurt, man, it's literally a little tweak and he stays in the game. Like I haven't really seen him other than that grow and be out for an extended period of time like
Mm.
that. You know what I'm saying? Is either that or is rest or whatnot. And I was making a little joke the other day as well too. I said LeBron is a cyborg, bro. He's a cyborg from the future. And his goal is to basically sabotage MJ, right? He's kind of like the Terminator in a way as well, too. So what separates him, or what makes him disguise himself as being an android to basically like fake to us that he's a human being, is they wrote in his manual injuries, you're gonna have tweaks to your ankle, and you're gonna also have cramps. That way, we'll never know
Nice.
as well too. So I just feel like he's gonna be one of those guys who bounces back as well too. But some questions for you, man.
Okay.
Um, how does this? Just focusing on LeBron, not even just the Lakers in general. Like, know it's year 17 or 18. I don't even know anymore. You know he's 36 years old. You know he's playing one of the most minutes in the NBA. How do you feel this affects LeBron James moving forward?
Um, I think moving forward, in the grand scheme or just this season.
In the season, or you can talk about
Okay.
grand scheme, whatever comes through
All
your
right.
stream of consciousness.
So I think in the season, I think he'll be out for about a month or so. Um, I mean, that'll be good. Like, if not, because what is it? We're late March, right? So I say
Mm.
early May to mid May to be safe, honestly. But you don't know the nature of those injuries. The high ankle sprain is a tough one. Because some people say sometimes it's better just to break it. Sometimes, I mean, of course, not a player of his caliber at his age wants to break their ankle, but there, the speech and the story behind it is like, it'd be better just to break it because tape it up, boom, come back, a little bit of rehab, and you're back out there. But the ankle sprain can be re-aggravated over and over again. Definitely, those muscles have already been, you know, been poked and probed at from a endurance standpoint. Uh, for LeBron, though, again, to your sentiments about him being a cyborg from the future, uh, his composition is different. So you look at an injury, you look at things like, is this a reoccurring thing? Is this things that usually happen? There's no reoccurring thing for LeBron. I mean, maybe some cramps, whatever like that. That could be very much a result of old age and needing different hydration, or his muscles is
Cyborg.
asking for different things. But I mean, shoot, a lot of guys at 37 would take cramps any day, to get out and be able to even play and dunk and go up and down. A lot of people like, yo, I'm feeling, I'm 33, 32. I'm about to hang it up because my body is aching. We haven't heard anything about aches or anything from LeBron. Like, how candid Kobe was in his body hurting, aching. And Kobe was 36 when he was around retirement, correct? So
Yeah.
at 35, 36, when he was coming down the end of his road, yes, he had some tweaks before coming into that season where he tore his Achilles, and that season post that as well. But this dude, we don't hear him complain. We don't hear him we don't even hear his past injuries really come up, because that's how much of a oh, he's back to playing, he's super durable, whatever like that. We just always argue, oh, he's getting older, he's lost a step, he doesn't jump as high. I mean, that's natural that it would happen. He maybe not doesn't jump as high, but he doesn't seem like he's losing too much of it. Like we always talk about it, he doesn't seem like he's losing too much of it. And for him to tweak an ankle, this to be his first time tweaking an ankle, there'll be caution taken to it, right, for the for the next few weeks to
Month or
come.
so. Yeah.
But for the most part, everything in LeBron's James story says this guy will bounce back. If not sooner, he'll bounce back fine. And I'm sure, depending on what the placing is, depending on, what we might see from AD, if ever, that's a totally different topic. Um, he'll be back, and as long as they make it to the playoff, they could crawl to the playoff. It's LeBron James team. Who cares? LeBron James. Let's pray for Anthony Davis. If not, we can still, steal a few rounds until we actually might feel the real hurt of Anthony Davis in a 7-game series, because it's hard to beat that guy in a 7-game series. It's hard to beat that guy, you know, all around, but we've only seen where he's been maybe quote unquote dominated, or heard the teams he's on have been dominated. It took 3 superstars to do that. So we haven't seen anything else since, and I'm not gonna bet against that. His track record's damn good, even at this age. IQ rules the playoffs, and his durability is something to be reckoned with.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, one thing he talks about, he really doesn't care about it, and obviously Kuzma came out the other day as well too, and was saying, LeBron James honestly could have won already like 8 MVPs by now as well too. With him missing this huge chunk of the season, do you think this definitely affects his MVP chances?
Yes, and I always go back to it's the media day and age that we live in. Um, of course, it does. They don't want to give it to LeBron James because they would have to give it to LeBron James every year. You know what I'm saying? So to get the fuel, to get the lights, to get the for them to be able to say, hey, this is a guy that we can put money behind. There has to be press behind him. So there's different guys who also warrant, are in that space or in that realm that you boom can throw that title behind and throw that, oh, maybe they're the MVP instead of LeBron James. And you can give it to him
Mhm.
because LeBron's not the superstar that's gonna, you know, moan about that. The proof is in the pudding. You take him off any team that he's played on, regardless if you say he's GM, yada yada yada, coach, whatever like that. You take him off any team he's played on, and they become the glorified Cleveland Cavaliers when they were bad. Because are still aren't super duper good, but the glorified Cleveland Cavaliers, they become a team that might be towards the bottom of that conference or the bottom of that standing. There hasn't been a team, maybe other than Miami, that he's been on, where if you take him off, they're gonna accomplish close to or the same feats. It's just not gonna happen. So somebody like that, is he not the MVP? Yes, he's the MVP, and a strong MVP candidate. But when it comes to this, social media, this marketing, NBA being entertainment, it benefits pockets more to throw those titles and to throw that kind of PR movement behind other stuff. Because LeBron James is always going to be a cash cow and bringing the money he's going to get. But if I can boost this other guy up and he's going to be in the league, quote unquote, longer than LeBron a little bit, why not boost him up and get him primed and ready and get that name, that brand primed and ready so we can keep running with it after LeBron has been gone for however many years, and we can give it to him until we're ready to give it to the next guy, and so on and so forth. That, no matter which way you flip it, the bread got to come first. You know what I'm saying? It's a sandwich. That's all it is.
Yeah, I agree with you as well too. So, you know, with Bron being out and AD being out, I mean, and like I said before, the Lakers are currently the third seed in the West right now. Do you think they have enough to stay afloat right now? Because you got Bron and AD who damn near are responsible for 50 points, and LeBron probably generates another 20 points for his team. So looking at their depth, I mean, you got Kuz, who I think we may see Kuz pre AD averaging about 18 points a game. Dennis Schroeder is now in the spotlight as well too, and then we got Montrezl Harrell, who's reigning sixth man of the year, and obviously their pieces that they have now. They're a team that's eighth in rebounding, sixth in field goal percentage. They're one of the top defensive teams as well too. Now, like, do they lose their identity? Like, can they stay afloat? Because right now, I mean, just looking at the Western Conference right now, man, like I think the
I
eight
see
seed
out
is
there.
only 8.5 games out of first place right now. You know what I'm saying? And right now, like I said, they're 28-8, 28-14. You got the Clippers and the Nuggets who are basically one game behind them. The Blazers one game behind them as well too. So we could see the Lakers dip from the 3 seed all the way until the 7th, 8th seed, because I think if only 1 through 6 seed basically are safe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it could be something where they actually take a dip down and they have to basically play and fight for their way in as well too. Because like you said, when LeBron is not on the floor, they look like the washed Cleveland team, who's a lottery team, who's basically on the rebuild. Just looking at their upcoming schedule, they got the Suns tonight. Then they play the Pelicans, who have been pretty solid as of late. 76ers, Cavs been pretty hot. And you got the Magic, who just beat the Nets. Then you got the Bucks just to finish out March. Then in April, Kings, Clippers, Raptors, Heat, Net, Knicks, Hornets, Celtics, Jazz again, the Mavericks again, Magic, Wizards, and then Kings again as well too. So those are some teams who have some playoff aspirations. Those are some teams who think they have some title hopes this year as well too. So I don't really see how they don't drop to the 7th or 8th seed right now as well
Right.
too. So luckily they still got a couple games above 500, but it's getting real spooky out here, man. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts? You think they can stay afloat?
No. Do I think they will in some possible scenarios? Yes, but I don't think they can stay afloat by any means with what we've seen, and just the nature of the wild west. I'm not even sure what place the Suns are, but aren't they sitting around like fourth or fifth over there? The
Two.
Suns are second.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous. I mean, like,
Yeah, under the
that's
radar,
crazy.
bro. Yeah.
That's crazy. Shoot, maybe they drop to the seventh seed just to get the Suns. But that's, hey. Hey, that's drama at its finest. But I don't see that happening. You take 50 points away. Yes, these guys are coming in. You know what I thought about though? Um, when is the trade deadline? Is it the
I think
25th?
it's next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the 25th.
Um, maybe this either accelerates or possibly deters them from making any moves. And when you get to this stretch of the season, sometimes you see a LeBron James team like this, and possibly a quote unquote Lakers team like this. Sometimes you think, this the locker room is kind of a brotherhood. They have came together this far. As long as people are healthy, like LeBron or like that, he'll take them. And hey, why not? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, there could have already been rumblings. There could have already been, set in place. They saw what was kind of going on. This reevaluated Anthony Davis from a durability standpoint, and would say, hey, let's try to shoot for a guy that we can maybe get in here, and maybe they can get him in there for the low and not sacrificing too much, and maybe some draft picks down the road. They can get him in there that somebody that might not want to be in their contract too much, and just get him over on the team that could help out a little bit. So maybe that accelerates that, but maybe it negates that because you're saying, hey, I wanted him to be able to come in and play with our two superstars that clearly weren't here. You maybe put this trade off for a while. Not an all-star break trade, not a you know that bend where people were getting traded. What was it like around like New Year's, like right after that
Yeah.
kind of bend, and then maybe say we're gonna put this off and wait to hear and see what happens. But now you're looking at it's like, well, if we bring him in, it's gonna be too much of like a mesh thing uh before the playoffs because we're not gonna get all three guys back into the playoffs, and then how is that even gonna look? So it really makes me wonder about what the GM, the front office, and the superstars that might know who the front office is planning to do things with, and how the chess pieces they're planning to move, how it affects them coming up to the 25th. So I'll be interested to see that. I don't think they're going to make any moves, but I could see how kind of things like this would either accelerate or deter them from doing that.
Yeah. So as far as moves, I don't really see what assets they're going to give up because I don't think you're giving up Kuz, obviously AD, LeBron, and I think Schroeder are pretty much untouchable right now. Other than that, looking down the line, I don't even think they're going to get rid of Montrezl Harrell. So other than that, what you got? Marc Gasol, you got KCP, you got
I mean, yeah, you wouldn't get rid of
THT,
Montrez.
you got Caruso, you got Wesley Matthews.
Solid
I
role
don't really
players,
solid
you
role
know.
players, but I don't know what team um, would want to trade for them unless this team wants to just get some draft picks back or take on expiring contracts or something like that. I don't really see that happening. So I think they're going to probably go to the buyout market and Andre Drummond. We haven't heard him as of late. We know the Nets just re-upped. So it would make sense. They're saying, yo, you're gonna have a premier role. You know, Anthony Davis is gonna be back. Like you're gonna be the guy right now. You're gonna play alongside Kuz. You're gonna play alongside Dennis Schroeder. And once they come back, we're gonna figure some things out. So I can see them do that. Obviously, there's been some little rumors on a potential trade for Whiteside because he only took the veterans minimum, so that could definitely work out as well too. And then Coach Pop came out last week or the week before and basically said we're not going to play LaMarcus Aldridge until we get a deal done or a buyout agreement as well too. So who knows? The Lakers could get an all-star type of caliber player. If it's me, I may want to go for Andre Drummond just for another big body
Yeah,
to play alongside 80 because 80 don't even like to play the five, but we know he's gonna play
at
the
all.
five when it matters most. Or Lamarcus, who's a little bit older, but he still has one of the best inside out games as well too, and can defend still at a high level and guard multiple positions when it's called upon. So we'll see what happens with that as well too. My other topic before we leave this LeBron James topic is, with it being such a fast turnaround, from the finals in the bubble and starting back up and Miami and the Lakers being the team that probably needed the rest the most. Do you think this is even if they quote unquote have the playing game and like you said, play like the Phoenix Suns in the first round and whatnot as well too. Do you think it's a blessing in disguise for the modern day GOAT and AD to basically be missing some time to recover right now and be fully refreshed for this new playoff run?
I think as long as and these guys are superstars, definitely LeBron James. This comment doesn't matter. But as long as they, you know, it's a refreshing thing and not like a lose a step thing. always. I'm sure those guys would love some time off, but they didn't get any time off before, which could be possibly a result of AD's injury, not LeBron's, because we know how that happened. But I think maybe for AD, it's a good thing. For LeBron, I think he just wants to be a well-oiled machine. We don't know. We don't have his body, never will. So, hopefully it's one of those things where it's not like, oh, age catching up and everything's hurting and stuff. He takes care of himself and it's just like, all right, let's go back. I'm good to go. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. So we're gonna continue to monitor this injury. Like I said, it's gonna be weird not seeing LeBron James just playing for an extended period of time. I mean, we got a little taste of that back when he signed with the Lakers, but this is completely different. So we'll see how they are. But more importantly, I want to see who's going to step the hell up for the Lakers right now. I don't. I see them getting. I don't even see them winning above 500, probably a little bit below 500, but just like fighting there. But we'll see
Yeah.
because LeBron is that offense. You know what I'm saying? He's the director of the whole film. So
Facts.
we'll see how that goes as well too. Um, Now speaking of or moving topics rather, there's been talks about LaMelo Ball. Is he the clear cut rookie of the year? Does he have some competition? I think he's a clear cut rookie of the year as well too. I mean, I was pulling up some stats, right?
Hmm.
In this season, he's been pretty much hooping 16 points per game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 38% from three, 45% from the field, and shooting over 80% from the free throw line as well too. And what's crazy is he started off coming off the bench, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise because once Graham went down, that's when he actually started. But the games he didn't start, they were 9 and 11, I believe, and he averaged 12, 6 and 6, and only shot 43% from the field, and then more importantly, 29% from three. And then once he started those 21 games, he went from averaging 12 points per game, and then just solely focusing on starting 20 points per game, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, and then 43% from three, 84% from free throw, and they have an over 500 record as well too. What are your thoughts on Lamelo Ball this year? Is he the clear cut rookie of the year for you? And I guess what are your expectations for him moving forward? Do you think he has a chance to be one of the greats? LeBron commenting on it. Obviously there was a little back and forth. They try to hype it up and get a story out of it. LeBron versus Lamelo, kind of like how they did a couple years ago. Luka versus LeBron. Like, oh my God, the second
Yeah.
coming. What's gonna happen? But what are your thoughts on Lamelo? I mean, LeBron came out after the game. It was a little petty as well too. I think he had a little quote I forgot from which rap artist, but he went on his Instagram and basically had all posts of him and Lamelo in the frame, like one when he went for a dunk and one when Lamelo's moving out the way, and he just like, yo, like I'm still the king. Y'all gotta relax. The media, y'all gotta relax as well too. But he came out after the game and said, he's damn good. He's damn good to be he's damn good to be his age. And then he also says speed, his quickness, his ability to make shots, basket in the paint. And he's only going to get better. Every game is a learning experience for him. He's going to get better as the season goes on and his career goes on as well too. And like I said, right now, the Hornets are currently in the 7th seed. Obviously, that's a play-in, but no one thought that they were going to be this good. But what are your thoughts on Lamelo?
I think Lamelo is. I think he's clear cut MVP for me, as well. And that says a lot when you're in a top three of your class with a guy like Anthony Edwards, 30.6 points per game, uh, about 5.5 rebounds per game, 2 assists per game. Then you got Quickly, who also is right around 17 and points per 17 and a half points per game. So we'll say 18 points per game. And he has about, 2.3 assists a game. But then you get to LaMelo Ball stats, which I think you read them off, but you got 17.2 points per game, 5.6 assists per game. We'll round up to six. You get 4.85 rebounds per game, clearly affecting your team. Clearly. On top of that, Hornets are seventh in the East.
Yeah.
So, you know, a team that we were like doesn't really matter when it comes to playoffs anymore. And side note, Hawks are fifth in the East. Interesting. But yeah. But him being there and affecting the game. And again, we always talk about Lamelo. We talk about LeVar, and now he's my son's gonna be in the league. And shout outs to him. Not step, but Father's Day for him this year should be banging. You know what I'm saying? He should
Fire.
go crazy. He should go crazy. Uh, but Lamelo's been doing everything we expected him to do up until this point. Like maybe far exceeding expectations because you're like, oh, it's small. It's not, the game's not the same as overseas, whatever like that. But he's been playing with grown men since he was 16, 15 years old. He's 6'7", what 18, 19 maybe years old right now. Only getting better. We haven't seen his quote unquote NBA body that comes. We They say, oh, the game slows down for them after about 2 or 3 years. We haven't seen that version of him yet either, and he still kind of gets his spots, does what he wants to do, gets wherever he wants to be on the floor. I think the next step for him is probably going to be like just imposing his will from like a, that RIP Kobe, that get out the way. I'll get it on the elbow and get effortless points. I can go for a 40 if I feel like whenever. And this is further down the road, but him at 6'7" at a point guard, I don't see teams unless they put like a shooting guard, their best defender on him. I don't see other teams guards, guarding him too often. If not, it's going to be trouble for him because it's going to be like, all right, well, bucket, easy bucket, easy bucket, easy bucket, and he can work that short corner to that block to that elbow to even just being out in space on the wings and top of the key. Like there's a very, very high ceiling for him at 6'7", point guard, fast, and can see the whole floor. Uh, this is a very bright outlook, and it's somebody I'm excited to keep watching. But clear cut MVP, has Hornets where they want to be, and with the fall of we'll get to the Celtics and with the Knicks, who are good this year, but we've never seen them be consistent. With the Hawks that are a surprise, Heat's always consistent. Bucks have been consistent, and the Nets, who we think we believe should be around for a little, should be around for a little bit as far as prominence. I think they could be a staple in the East if they don't do any bonehead stuff, keep up and keep revitalized, following somebody and having to somebody that could be a quote unquote leader down the future like Lamelo Ball. So
Yeah, I have to agree with you. We'll definitely see as well too. So I would love to see Lamelo in the first round of playoffs, regardless. I think that
yeah,
would be exciting as well too, because he's special.
they
He's
put the
very
Nets
very
right now.
special.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, for sure. So sticking on the Ball brothers, in general, LeVar Ball,
Pause.
obviously, pause. LeVar Ball basically came out the other day, and he got to stay relevant at one point. So basically, he was like, "I don't know what the Pelicans are going to do. I hope he's traded though. I don't like watching the way that he's playing. He can't stay in New Orleans. Come on, man." So Lonzo Ball, basically has been on trade rumors right now. And I think he's going to be a restricted free agent coming up this season as well too. So he definitely wants to get paid. And this season he's been pretty solid, 14, 6, and 4. And most importantly, his free throw percentage has improved up to 76%, and his 3-point percentage is up at 38% as well too. So it's kind of weird, right? Because obviously, like with the Pelicans, it's something where you just have to wait and let these players and let this team develop as well too, because they already have, like I said, their focal point and Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson as well too. And it just seems like they just need to take some time to kind of figure out how they want to build around a duo like this as well too. And I'm just trying to wonder, with him being in these rumors, is he going to be a part of that? Do they want to ink him to a long-term deal as well too? Because he's been balling this year, but just not to the level in which his dad hyped him up as that number 2 pick. I remember Magic Johnson back when he was still, the GM of the Lakers. He was saying, "Yo, your jersey's going to be hanging out on the rafters when it's all said and done right now." And literally, he's going to get traded after 2 seasons. But if you can get AD, you're going to get AD, right?
Heck yeah.
But yeah, like, what are your thoughts on all that as well too? And if he does get traded, where do you actually see him going right now? Because the biggest talks, or from what I've heard, is this team right here could use him as well too. But what are your thoughts on LeVar and Lonzo and his future and all that stuff as well too?
Um, I think it's interesting. I think the Pelicans might try to keep him for a little bit, solely because again, it's a team that's growing. Unless they just want to bring in somebody that's possibly a veteran, but they have some veterans on their squad. But I think Lonzo does what you need him to do from a guard standpoint. You know, he defends well. He can initiate the offense. He's been hitting shots more consistently than we thought he would, just in general. And again, like you said, the free throw percentage. So I think they'll try to keep him. Possible trade destinations. Possibly Chicago Bulls. You know, pairing him with Zach Levine.
I like Kobe White though.
Yeah. Kobe White is also a scorer too. You know,
That is
more of
true.
a scorer you could say, and then just space the floor with them.
And Lonzo
Uh,
6'6".
yeah. So adds to the length. Maybe shake some things up in Chicago, um, and let White get loose a little bit more because Lonzo doesn't have to have the offense run through him, quote unquote. It doesn't, he's not the perennial scorer that you're gonna want. You got Levine, you got Kobe White. They could also do that, or they could even run in tandem. I think possibly. Like you said, the Clippers need a guard. Need somebody that can also guard from the guard that would make him even more of an elite defensive team. So that would be dope. And with them losing Montrezl Harrell, that's also a blow. So you have a few more perimeter guards in a West that you need some perimeter players for. Um, so we'll see how that goes. Like I said, you can stay with the Pelicans. Yeah. So if I had to choose what would happen, I think depending on how unhappy he might actually be, uh, I think Pelicans will again try to keep him, but then I don't really know how the Clips have been moving in free agency per se. Like we kind of saw some of the moves they made last year. They let Montrezl Harrell go, whatever that was about. But I think this could be a really good move for them somehow, some way. If this like it was a turnout and the Pelicans were to give him up just like that, but or he's going to be a unrestricted free agent if they can't come to an agreement. But I think the Clippers, why not? And I think his dad saying that one, we have to give credit to LeVar Ball for being in some way, shape, or form a genius, or just intuitive enough to put his sons in an amazing position, which every man wants to do. But you think about what every black man would want for his sons. They want to be successful, not have to worry about anything, and you know, we we there's such a significance in our communities for sports, for competitiveness, for a black man to have that many sons in the NBA or in that professional sports realm. You got to give him his kudos, and you can't look at him as a dummy because that's not easy at all. That's there's nothing, there's no science, there's no playbook for that for success of a black man and his children and his family within America or even within this world, per se. So when he says stuff, we write it out, we write it off, we say, oh, it's LeBron Ball just talking. But the last few times he's said stuff, have they not come true? Have they not? Has there not been some kind of inclination? And I think he might be saying that he's like, oh, he doesn't even like it there. What is Lonzo Ball and the Ball family like? Probably L.A., where they're from. You know what I'm saying? Probably California, Los Angeles, such and such like that. So maybe that's a beacon and a foreshadowing of him going to the Clippers or trying to make that push to play on the Clippers. Probably not the Lakers, but on the Clippers again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would be dope. I just wonder like who would they give up as well too, because I still want Lou to be that energizer off the bench when it's all said and done. Someone who can give me a bucket. I mean, I would sacrifice Patrick Beverly, but do the Pelicans want Pat Bev, who has a knee problem? Do you give away Reggie Jackson? You really can't give away Luke Kennard because they signed him, I think, for 40 million. He's not even playing. Like
Very
unless it's
interesting.
garbage time, he ain't playing. So I'm looking at a list, maybe Marcus Morris Sr. But I mean, it kind of really just depends on how the Pelicans want to construct their roster around their two stars. Their two stars are just very weird, a weird pairing, which can work, but they're kind of a weird pairing. So it's kind of just hard to figure out how you want to build around them as well too. But I would love, definitely love Lonzo over there as well too. I mean, the point guard spot is pretty premier right now. So every team pretty much has their point guard locked up for the future. So with the Clippers who need the most help at the point guard position right now, I think that would be a good fit. But if I'm the Pelicans, I'll sign them. And maybe down the line, see how it pans out. Like I said, tweak the roster a little bit. But if it's something where you decide for a 2-3 week stint, you want to make him the number 2 option or whatever you want to do, you can always trade him and get some pieces back as well too. So I'll hold on to him for now. But like you said, if he ain't happy, then just trade him, and he'll be fine wherever he goes as well too. But him being his father's son, there's always going to be scrutiny with him from when he basically retires. So he'll always be linked to LeVar, more so than Lamelo. When I think of Lamelo, I just think of Lamelo. When I think of Lonzo, I think of his dad, which is crazy. But we'll see what happens with that as well too. Moving topics, man. What the hell are the Boston Celtics doing, bro? We were just talking about how trash they have been playing, haven't been playing up to par, and then we were talking about how good they looked as well too, because they jumped from, I think it was like, I don't even know what seed it was, but they jumped all the way up to as like high as a 4 seed. We're like, all right, yeah, Boston's back on track, X, Y, and Z. But now they're 20-21. Now they're the AC in the East. Now we're in the second half of the season. Now is the time where you're supposed to be separating yourself amongst your competition to basically see who do we think has a legit shot to win a championship. This is a team that's on a 3-game losing streak. Now, I know we shouldn't panic. It's been an unprecedented year as well, too. But, you got your stars in Kemba. You got your stars in Tatum. You got your stars in Brown. Marcus Smart is back too, who missed some time, extensive amount of time. Brown's been out of lineup's finally healthy now. Tatum obviously had COVID. And then we had Kemba, who had the knee operation, stem cell knee operation, who looks like he's in form now too. But like, what do you think it is? Do you think it's a lack of talent that they have, the lack of leadership that they have, bad coaching? I mean, we talked about it before in the past, but it's just like, bro, like this is where you make that final push. There's only like 30 more games left. Like, you need to step your shit up. Like, when I think of the Celtics, I think of that team that went to the conference finals against LeBron with the Cavs last year, or even last year went to the conference finals. Like, I have high hopes for them based on their star power that they have in those two young cats right now. But now it's just like, yo, you're gonna have to potentially have a plan, and who's to say that, once you get in the plan, if you make it, I think it's, but for the 8 seed versus the 9 seed is basically, if the 8 seed wins one game, they go on, but if the 9 seed wins that first game, it becomes the best out of 3. So it's just like, yo, y'all could potentially miss the playoffs this year. So do you think they're actually like, are they rebuilding without them even realizing it or coming to a realization with that? Like, what are your thoughts on Boston, man?
At this point, it just seems like a lot of moving pieces. Like, we keep revisiting this, and it's like, what is going on with them? It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, should be nothing wrong with this relationship, but we just are not happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, this is kind of mind-boggling. I don't know. Like, they're slipping. Is it a motivation thing? Is it a leadership thing? There's a lot of scapegoat things. Like, I think, and they're young still. I mean, honestly, they're young still. They have young players that have experience in the Jason Brown and the Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Excuse me. And even like giving up Gordon Hayward, he wasn't doing much for them. Now he's actually the Hornets are getting their money's worth for him. Thank God, because we thought he had tricked Michael Jordan. But this Celtics team, it's like, this is gonna be the first time, but I don't know what's wrong with them. You know what I'm saying? That's my hot take on it. I don't know. I have no idea. that on that for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. And there's also been rumors that Brad Stevens potentially wants to basically after the season go to the Indiana Pacers. Obviously, he has some roots over there as well too. But yeah, I don't know, bro. I know Jason Tatum came out like not too long ago and said like he hasn't been the same since COVID, but he knows it's gonna get better moving forward. But I don't know, bro. I mean, they lost Kyrie, they lost Gordon Hayward, who they should have kept as well too. They had Al Horford at one point. They had everything they needed, but I don't know, man. It's one of those things where we just gonna have to watch.
Yeah, man. Like I would love like a detail to come out. Like you know how my mind works. Like I
Yeah,
could pick out something. This will be my homework assignment. I'll go and I'll just like we'll just watch them really closely and see if I find like anything that will like spark. But bruh, like I couldn't. I, there's nothing to cook with in here right now. Like what's going on with them? We don't know.
yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know either as
Um,
well too.
what was it? It was Star Wars, right? It was Star Wars, and you seen it, right? You seen the Star Wars movies.
I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy, so you can
All right.
still enlighten
So check
us.
this out, and
All right.
I would like you to check them out because the third one's my favorite movie because it's it's the illustration of what a uprising and a total takeover and a switch from light to dark energy would be. That's when like everything happens, when Darth Vader's created, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And kind of the sins, quote unquote, that rule the galaxy until Luke Skywalker and her sister and his sister have come to age. So this is what happens. And fans, sorry, I'm a geek, but follow me here and we'll get back to basketball. Right? Give me 1 minute. So this is what happens, right? So we're in relation to Boston Celtics. Um, so it pretty much happens. Boom, boom, boom. Anakin Skywalker, he loses himself, becomes who he becomes, such and such like that. And there was one scene where Padme was pregnant. He like kind of gets aggressive where it's like, Padme, like you're going with Obi-Wan, and then the end of the movie comes Anakin and Obi-Wan duel, and boom, here's Padme who has to have these children when literally the world is falling apart, right? Everything is falling apart. People either do know or they don't know what's going on. The biggest person that knows is like Yoda and Obi-Wan. Other than that, Padme has no idea why Anakin's acting this way, such and such,
Yeah,
so on and so forth. And at the end of it, they're delivering the kids, and it's like, oh, it's a boy, Luke. Oh, it's a boy, Leia, Luke and Leia, our heroes. And then all of a sudden, doing, 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 doing. It's like, what is that? Oh, she's dying. It's like, but why? She's completely healthy. And it's like, she's lost the will to live for whatever reason. I feel like the Boston Celtics have lost the will to, play the game for this team and for this season. I don't know what the outlook is. And when you said Stevens and how he kind of wants to go to the Pacers, it kind of made me think of that. It's like there's a loss of will here somewhere. We don't know what it is. Jason Tatum's coming off of COVID, which is very serious. But as an overall, if we keep it just a basketball thing, we want to know what's going on. And the life thing is going off. There's been no prior history of disease, illness, such and such, yada yada like that. For everything that we see from this chart on a piece of paper, this team should be thriving, living, top four in the Eastern Conference. And what's going on? It's like, well, they've lost the will to live somehow, some way. So, sorry, fans, but that's my analogy for today.
nah, I like that analogy as well too. I might have to chop it up and just put like a little graphic of what if I had to put a graphic, what Star Wars character would I put up there?
You have to put Padme, who's
Padme.
Anakin's lover, or and the mother of Luke and Leia. So yeah,
Padme. That's hilarious, man.
yeah,
That's
man.
hilarious as well. Cool. So moving topics from there, man. Staying in the East as well too, because I mean the East is pretty exciting nowadays as well too. A team that's been that we've talked about a couple episodes back that we didn't really know what the hell was going to happen was the Miami Heat. They slowly came from like I think like the 13th seed, and now they're the
Yeah,
4th
or
seed, which we thought would the substance would be. But obviously, like I said, COVID, injuries, fast turnaround really didn't necessarily treat them the best as well too. But more importantly, it's been Jimmy Butler's availability as well too. So right now they're 22 and 20, 7 and 3 in their last 10 games, and like I said, the biggest difference would probably be Jimmy Butler as well too. He's been balling out of his mind this season. He's been averaging 22, 8 and 8, 48% from the field, over 85% from the free throw line as well too. Still could do a little bit better at three, but he's not really attempting as much threes as he's normally used to playing. And Jimmy Butler, I mean, he's played out of 42 games, he's only played 28. So obviously they look lost without him as well too. But I mean, he's been flat out sensational. I think since he's been back, like since they've been winning.
yeah,
I think he's been averaging almost like 25 points. So basically, the Jimmy Butler that we saw, not only in the playoffs but more importantly in the finals matchup against Bron, that's the Jimmy Butler we've been getting as well too. So I know when we had our early predictions, I said, I asked you, how far you think where do you think they finish out in seeds? We didn't foresee James Harden coming, we didn't foresee the 76ers taking it to another level. We didn't know that. And I just thought with them catching their stride late last year and getting their confidence and their player development and them just having that blue collar mentality, I just felt like they were going to be that team who was going to be the constant level. They were going to come basically prepared with the constant level of expertise on playing and just be the most fluid team. So I thought they were going to be like a top 3 seed, but I mean, 4 isn't too bad as well too. What are your thoughts on the Miami Heat as of late as well too? Jimmy Butler, because right now he's getting some MVP buzz as well too. And this is
yeah,
and we're going to talk about this as our last topic, but this MVP race is just something where it's probably the most wide open as well
yeah,
too, especially with these injuries that have been happening as well too. Because early in the season we said, "Oh, KD," and KD goes, "Oh, Joel Embiid, LeBron James, James Harden." Like it's just changing every freaking week. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler, and do you think they have what it takes to, make some noise when it comes playoff time?
yeah. Of course, right now they would be matched up with the Hawks, who are playing very well, but um, it's one of those things where you just don't want to run into a team like that. Like it's very dangerous. It's like, oh, it looks cute, but like that thing will kill you. Like currently, like the Miami Heat are like hippos. Like like how much like hippos be killing people like each year, like compared to like sharks and other things. Like hippos will like kill you, and they like run underwater. Like there's like a whole like there's like a list of facts about hippos that. Sorry, this is off on tangent, but the Miami Heat, the Miami Heat, like they're a dangerous team, and we'll talk about that later. They're a dangerous team, and like a team like the Hawks don't want to see them. I feel like a lot of people don't want to see him well oiled, and Jimmy Butler's one of those people that like you come in the gym and you just hate to play against him because he's gonna if he's healthy and he's available, he's gonna win. He's gonna find some way to win. Like
Find a
you
way
can be a
every time.
competitor, but he's the competitor's competitor. Like that mentality is like, I'm just gonna go get it done. And it doesn't matter if he has 5 points or he has 25 points or 55 points, whatever like that. Because Jimmy Butler is not selfish in that. As long as his team gets over and gets to victory and wants to compete, he'll find a way. Jimmy Butler being on the floor doesn't mean he's gonna torch you for whatever like that, but he's gonna get the job done. And that's just, some people have their vices when it comes to production. It's like, oh, he has to have assists to get going. He has to score to get going. Oh, he has to get some rebounds. Oh, he has to, be able to cut thoroughly. They could be playing barefoot on the beach and Jimmy Butler would find a way to win the game or, down at the playground playing like, prison ball, whatever like that. I feel like Jimmy Butler will find a way to win the game. He's a hooper. He's going to find a way to win the game. And just that factor alone, one, makes him an honorable mention for our later topic, but two, it makes the Heat and company, it's like, yo, this is kind of crazy. So yeah, them being at fourth place, not being a well-oiled machine per se, but a team that can get hot and play consistently that you don't want to see for 7 games anywhere. Definitely in the Eastern Conference, that's one of those things where it's like, you know, they got rid of the Milwaukee Bucks last year. You know, we are not haven't seen them in a scenario where they are having to go up against a team of star caliber like the Nets. But even still, like, I think Philadelphia even would be like, you know, they would rather not have to go a Miami Heat route. So I think everybody but possibly the Nets, and they could even give the Nets some fits. You know, what is Katie? Katie's not playing right now, is he? Or is he back? Yeah, so he's not. Yeah, he's not playing right now. He's, you know, supposedly coming back and everything like that. But even a team like that, you don't really want to run into those guys in a back alley. So shout out to the Miami Heat. Shout out to Jimmy Butler. So we'll see what happens going forward. Do I see them climbing any more spots? No, they're 5 games behind the Bucks. I don't see that happening. The Bucks have won 11 of the last 12, which is crazy. So I see them staying right around that fourth, fifth seed because they're the same record, literally, and winning percentage as the Hawks. Don't see the Knicks moving up too much more. I think this is a pretty solid lineup from 1 to 5, or from 1 to 5 right now. Maybe the Knicks could capture that sixth place, depending on what the Hawks do. Maybe they're just in a hot streak, but I feel like the Heat are going to stick around that 1 through 4 area and probably not even crack 3 because of the Bucks and how they're performing in the rest of the group in the lead. So yeah,
Yeah, and also, I think they're just going to, yeah, they're going to lean off of, what got them there as well too, and then obviously we already know about the Myers Leonard situation that happened a
they
few
got him
weeks
out of
ago
there.
as well too. R.I.P. Myers Leonard. Hopefully you learn from your mistake and just try to be knowledgeable about certain things and not ignorant. But say that for another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got traded for a second round pick for Trevor Ariza. So Trevor Ariza is the newest addition for the Miami Heat as well too. So that's someone obviously we haven't seen him play in a while. The last time we actually talked about him was when I don't mean to get into their personal business, but he couldn't join the bubble because of custody issues as well too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, well, I guess we'll see how he's utilized. Obviously, he's someone who has championship pedigree, someone who was part of that deep run with Kobe and with James Harden as well too. With that a very efficient 3-point analytics based Rockets team as well too. And it's someone who can space the floor and guard your perimeter players as well too. So maybe the Miami Heat are going to say, all right, there could be a lineup where we have Jimmy with Bam, maybe Tyler or Dragic to flip one of those or use one of those with Ariza and Iggy or something like that. So because that's what it's going to come down to. Can you make because it looks like the Nets, from what I've seen so far with the Brooklyn Nets, every game basically they win comes down to the wire. So can you make enough stops, and can you just not even enough stops? Can you make it as difficult as possible on your juggernaut and try to keep the game close or whatnot as well too? So we'll see what type of depth that Ariza is going to add to them as well too. So it's going to be interesting. But I agree with you. With the Bucks, and which we're about to talk about next, being on a hot roll right now, 76ers and the Nets just being a couple games above 500 compared to the Heat. I see them staying in the 4 or 5 seed. Knicks could possibly go up. We don't realize it or not, but Derrick Rose has been out because of COVID as well too. So I think he's missed the past 2 weeks, and
Mm.
before he got hurt, they were above 500. But we'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens as well too. Now, changing gears, like you said as well, the Bucks have been balling on the low. I guess, you know, it's just one of those things. Giannis is a reigning defensive player of the year and 2-time MVP as well too. And it just seems like is what have you done for me lately? And the fact
Mhm.
that he hasn't reached that pinnacle of getting to the finals and just coming up short, we really don't give a damn about what they've been doing. But they, like you said, out of the last 12 games, they're 11-1. And Giannis has been doing Giannis things, video game numbers, 29, 12, and
Mhm.
8, which I've been surprising enough, 8 assists. which I think in the regular season he only averaged 4 or 5, but in that winning streak, 8 assists. I think he put up like 3 straight triple doubles, and he's been shooting more confidently from three. Not necessarily the best, but 35% is pretty damn good for his style of play, his build. And
Yeah.
he's been shooting 78% from the free throw line, which is damn good as well too. And what I'm more impressed about with this win streak with the Bucks, they've won in every single way: blowouts, comebacks, playing in crunch time as well too. And Giannis has looked like the Giannis which we've been wanting to see, especially when I saw him against the Sixers a couple of days ago as well too. But
Hmm.
they're playing well down the stretch. He's playing well down the stretch. He's attacking the basket. He's collapsing that defense, giving it to the open man, knocking down threes, and more importantly, their all-star caliber players in Middleton, all-star caliber player in Drew Holiday, who's healthy now and is not a part of COVID anymore. They're playing great basketball down the stretch as well too. So I think this year, knowing that Giannis signed that extension, and nowadays even if you sign that extension, we saw with James Harden, if you got a couple years left on your contract, if you want to get the hell out of where you are, you can get the hell out of where you are as well too. But
Hmm.
knowing that there's a lot of pressure on the coaching staff, especially Coach Bud, and them trading to get Drew Holiday and gutting their roster and whatnot as well too, we have high expectations for them as well too. So I think with Coach Bud being on the hot seat, he's been kind of playing around, playing chess essentially with this roster and going up with different lineups down the line as well too. So I think they need games like this, because a lot of times last year and the year before they would just breeze through teams and they really wouldn't play meaningful basketball when it came down to it. That final stretch in the fourth quarter as well too. So I think these games are going to serve as a great test for them moving forward as well too. And then also they just acquired PJ Tucker as well too.
Hmm.
So that's another person that we can look for down the line in that small ball against the Nets or against Philly, where you probably have Giannis at the 5. At the 4, you have PJ Tucker. At the 3, you have Middleton, and then you have probably DiVincenzo and Drew Holiday to end out the game. Or if you want to go big, you keep Lopez there as well. So what are your thoughts on the Bucks? Slowly but surely creeping up. They could get as high as a 1 seed. We don't know. And Embiid's still out. Katie's been out of the lineup for a little bit as well too. Kyrie's been in and out as well too. They just lost to the Magic. But what are your thoughts on Giannis, the Bucks? Their future as far as the playoff goes, and then obviously the addition of my former center at 6'5", PJ Tucker.
Your favorite center. No, the Bucks have looked really good again. Like we said, the last 11 out of 12 of their games, they've won in a plethora of different ways. Giannis emerging and a guy that's on my list. So he's getting the job done. Coaching the hot seat. His quote, they where he said that the Bucks are just playing for them. Really just trying to get it done. Buying in, they're all in that locker room, which they have a lot of good pieces. Man, they got Paul Millsap that he was scoring at will, even with Giannis going down last year. Right, he went down. He was injured for a little bit in that playoff run. So Paul Millsap was keeping them in. He's a shit.
You got
He's
Chris Middleton.
huh.
You talking about Chris Middleton? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Middleton. I keep getting Millsap. Lord have mercy. It's Sunday. But Chris Middleton, who kind of for them is 1B in a way. He can score in bunches and in a plethora of ways, as well as the different pieces that you have. And you just got PJ Tucker, who's a hell of a defender, and is definitely going to help with some of the teams coming down the stretch if they have to face the Nets, and so on and so forth. So the Bucks look really good, and I think they could damn near fight for that 1 seed. Doc Rivers and company and Joel Embiid in that one spot. But we're gonna talk about him soon. Just with him and him possibly going down and being banged up. I think the Bucks could be primed to take that 1 seed and kind of have smoother sailing than they would expect. We would have had expected them to have a few weeks ago. So we'll see what happens with them.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, Warren just texted me as well too. He said, "Put some respect on the Hawks name." So I didn't even know this. Like you said, they crept up out of nowhere because they were one of the bottom tier teams, and then they crept up. Now you said what they're the 5th seed as well too. So Warren said the Hawks are 8-0 with their new head coach and have been keeping teams under 99 points per game in those games and are now the fifth seed in the East, being 22-20. And apparently Trey Young and their former coach didn't get along. I didn't even know he got fired. And
Interesting.
now Nate McMillan, who was the former, I think, Pacers coach, is now their coach as well too. So
Wow.
give my flowers to them.
Yeah.
Definitely give my flowers to them as well too. So moving on from there, man. Blake Griffin, obviously, you were gone as well too. But I want to talk about this briefly as well too. Blake Griffin, has been the topic of discussion past couple weeks as well too. He's actually set to make his debut today against the Washington Wizards as well too. Obviously, he's going to be on a minute restriction. He could have been playing sooner, but the fact that they came to him and basically said, "Yo, we're gonna shop you. If we can't shop you, we're gonna buy you out." So he missed a good amount of games, and obviously he has a history of knee related problems. They just wanted to slowly ramp him up, so he can be good to go moving forward, and make a deep playoff run as well too. So I'm excited because I don't really I don't really look at the 20 game sample size he played with the Pistons as where he is right now. He played, like I
Hmm.
said, he played those 20 games, averaged 12 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, only shot 37% from the field, and 32% from three, and 71% from the free throw line as well too. I don't really hold that against him. I really think it serves as an anomaly because when I think of Blake, I think of that last fully healthy season that he had, when he played 75 games, averaged 25, 7 and 6, shot over 40% from three, or 37% from three, and damn near under 47% from the field, and it was just dominant as well too. So obviously, it's going to be a little different, as well too, because you're now obviously not a top three option, so you can go anywhere from
Definitely not.
four to the fifth to the sixth option as well too. But I'm excited because I still think he has enough left in the tank. And, I was talking to Warren about this, last week or earlier this week as well, too. With me, I'm a little nerd. So when I say that, like right before the season starts, I always look at like my favorite players, or up and coming teams, their basically their media day availability before they start like the preseason one as well too. And I was just looking at Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin. Obviously, they were former Pistons. I was looking at their interviews towards the end of last year before the season started. And you can just tell by the body language of Blake Griffin when he's getting interviewed by all these people in the panel discussion, he won't locked in.
Yeah.
They came to him and basically they probably said, "Yo, you're going to be obviously you're a veteran. Obviously, we traded for you to build around you, but it's not really working. We just signed Jeremy Grant. We just drafted this guy from France. So we want you to be that vocal leader and basically lead by example, on what it means to be a professional, what it means to sustain your level of excellence in the league as well too. And you're going to have a
Yeah.
reduced role. So here's a guy that's taking 20 plus shots a game. Now you only selectively shooting threes and taking under 10 shots a game. That just
Yeah.
doesn't really make sense to me. So I felt like, even though they didn't really advance far in the Western Conference when he was on the Clippers, they still, when we thought about the Clippers back in the day, we thought about, yo, this could be the team that gets to the conference finals or goes to the championship. Like they were that talented as well, too. And he was their premier player with Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan. So I just feel like, going into the Motor City and him actually being by himself, obviously that probably added more wear and tear to him as well too.
Yeah.
But I feel like now being in a new atmosphere, reuniting with DJ, I think he's gonna work wonders. And they had a little interview last week, a little PR for him. He basically they asked him, "Yo, like you haven't dunked in like a year and a half, 2 years. Like, are you gonna dunk?" And he just started smirking. He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna see some dunks." So I think he's been holding back, and has really just been focused on staying healthy. And when the opportunity presented itself, he made that leap to the Nets as well too. Enough of my rant, but obviously this buyout already happened. But like I said, I'm highlighting this because we haven't talked about it. We've been away, and also like I said, he's debuting tonight against the Wizards. But what are your thoughts on Blake Griffin? Does he still have enough left in the tank?
I think he's a very valuable six man that's coming in, and shoot, we really just saw a non-enthusiastic version of him. Then hey, the sky's the limit for what he could bring off the bench. He could shoot, go out and get 15 points, with his time, 15 to 20 points and a few assists, some rebounds. You know, I think that's Blake Griffin. his mo coming in there. He's like, I just want to get loose with some people. Now he got it with them kind of having like they're going. You got a James Harden that's throwing assists to everybody. You get an assist, you get an assist, you get an assist. James Harden's Oprah over there, and it just he's gonna be happy to play with him. That screen and roll, shoot, Blake damn near trying to turn himself into more of a perimeter player. Um, Coming down the stretch, all he was doing in Detroit seemed to be like perimeter stuff. I didn't really see him in any post ups or anything like that. Honestly, like
I agree to
anything I seen.
disagree with that one.
Uh,
He when he got to Detroit, that obviously, like I said, with him playing above the rim for most of his career,
mhm.
he was doing everything from basically being a Swiss Army knife, handling the ball. And I looked at a couple of highlights because I didn't know if we were going to record or not. Too, when he was in Detroit, obviously he changed his game more so to the mid range and perimeter. But
Yeah,
whenever he did have that mismatch, he would dominate them in the
it was
paint.
a
Like I
wrap.
saw when they're playing the 76ers, obviously this is old Joel Embiid, but he was giving Embiid, he was giving Anthony Davis the work in the post. So
Giving him hell.
we'll
Well,
see. We'll see. But
well,
enough of me.
yeah. I was saying that to say that he can get what he wants from a lot of places on the floor. Like he's not made the transition, but we've seen him out on the perimeter the last few, even more than we've kind of seen him in a
Yeah.
while. Uh, for preservation purposes, quite possibly. I'm not gonna bang. We're not even gonna win anything. So now it's like come off the bench. So I got James, who's still in from the first team, and I got my other guys. I got shooters I can play around and stuff like that. So I'm gonna have spacing, and I'm not even necessarily an option. I'm just a super big threat. You know what I'm saying? That's carefree. That's park ball. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna I feel like we're gonna see a lot of cool stuff from Blake, given like there's no fall off or anything. I think he's primed and ready and is gonna be excited to go out there and compete with a team that's like the Nets. So see what happens with that.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, but just a guy who is another body that you can utilize when you're going up against a team like the 76ers. Um, and, it seems to me Steve Nash is going to go small a lot. So he's either going to play hybrid four or that mobile five as well, too. And if Jeff Green has been playing this damn good, I'm assuming if you plug in Blake Griffin, he's just going to add to that as well too. So it's a win-win at the end of the day as well too.
Mm-hmm.
So another security blanket, but damn, that's
It's huge.
I forgot I meant to do this, but I wanted to count up and tally up the total amount of All-Star appearances that team has had together from the player standpoint with KD, Kyrie, James, Blake, and DeAndre. That's a good amount.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. And just sticking on the Nets as well too. Should we be concerned with Kevin Durant's injury? I mean, he's missed 23 games and only played 19. And obviously he had the major Achilles injury, and took basically a year and some change to recover. Do you think the Nets are being cautious because of his injury history, or do you just think it's something where with the hamstring is just something that's kind of tricky, and they're just trying to figure it out day by day as well too? Because right after, I assume he's going to be back right after the All Star break. He had another MRI, and they said, he still needs about 2 to 3 weeks as well too. So I don't really know what's going on with that. I've never really pulled my hamstring like that, and obviously his is severely much more different. He's a fucking athlete, but are we concerned with him moving forward? Because I think without KD, I think the Nets team can still get to the conference finals. With KD, they're finals favorites regardless as well too. So that's something that's interesting as well. And I mean, right now they're kind of chilling. They're only one game behind the Philadelphia 76ers right now. They're 28-14. So with Blake coming back, and Kyrie being relatively healthy, James Harden doing James Harden things, I think they're fine. But I'm more so, I think, concerned about with them not having, I think they only played 7 games together, their big three. With them only playing that many games together, do you think that's still going to be enough for them to, utilize this last half of the season, these last 30 games of the season? Do you think that'll be enough for them to, be cohesive when it matters the most?
Uh, it really just depends on who they're playing. As far as the cohesive comment, but also I don't. I think for a team where that might matter a little bit more. For them, it doesn't as much. Their caliber of player that they are,
Mm-hmm.
how they play, how they can get out of each other's way, the weapons they have. I I mean, other than some, hey, let's run these sets and get this spacing and get these looks that we might want, I don't think that's really gonna affect them that much. As far as the KD topic, I'm uh cautious and concerned. If I'm somebody that is looking at KD's well-being, the Nets are gonna be looks like they're gonna be fine. You know, they're not gonna be that overall dominating force that we were either upset or happy or whatever about, because they were able to acquire all these players on one team. But I think they'd be okay. But as far as KD and the Nets and his legacy and lengthiness, when I see things like this, yes, we want to come back for the playoffs, cool. But at the same time, we just, it's always going to become the comparison. But there's LeBron James whose body is out of this world, and it's just like that, and they get put into the same sphere. And he has missed, you can count on that on your hand how many, games or how many times he's been quote unquote hurt. But with KD, who we put in the same realm, and he's, the best scorer we've probably ever seen in the game in a lot of ways. Um, and these injuries, and it's like, yo, it's another year and he's what, 31, 32, and time just keeps ticking, and it doesn't wait for anybody. So cautious and concerned, for his health and his well-being, because at this point I'm looking at him every time he gets injured. I'm looking at him for the long term. I'm looking at him for a long-term investment, looking at him for long-term health. So anytime I see something that have, even if it's a tweak, I'm just like really worried about it because he has a history of injury.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Either way, the Nets are they should have enough depth, or firepower rather, to you know stay afloat. And like I said, if they're the number two seed without him, just imagine when they have him fully back as well too. I'm sure it's going to be a slight adjustment period, and James Harden's going to go back more into the point guard role and not be scoring as much, because I think James Harden averaging 25, and I think when all three of them play together, I think he only averaged like 19 or 20.
Yeah,
We'll see what happens with that as well too. So hopefully he can get back in time, because the game misses him, and I just want to see the Brooklyn Nets to their full potential as well too.
yeah,
Speaking on another injury as well, we already know with Joel Embiid, he got a knee bruise. At first I got a little discouraged. I really thought like he had tore something or sprained
mm,
something. I really didn't know. But it's probably just one of those things where you never really experienced that form of pain before, so we didn't know how severe it was. But when I saw him able to walk on his own, there's two things that ran through my mind. One, I was like, all right, well, you're walking on your own. I think you're fine. I think it's just a little stinger, or like I said, like a slight knee sprain, which Devin Booker just had right before All-Star break. He came back in like 2 weeks. Um, so he had that. And two, I saw when Klay Thompson tore his ACL, he was still walking and made those free throws as well too. So I didn't really know what
yeah,
to expect. So the fact that they said they're going to reevaluate him in 2 weeks, that's a good sign, because Joel Embiid's been sensational this year as well too. Like when I think of Joel Embiid, I think of Hakeem, or I think of like a Shaq, just pure dominance. 30 points per game, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, and as a big, shooting over 53% of the field, and then over 42% from the three. Like he's shooting
that's
a better
crazy.
percentage than these premier shooters that we've talked about already.
Yeah.
And then as a big, you can stay in the game because he makes 85% of his free throws as well too. Philly's been the number one seed all year. And this is only Joel Embiid's. He's been in the league for 7 years, but the first 2 years he didn't play. So this is really his fifth year playing, which
Yeah.
is ridiculous as well too. Um, now, right now, I think they're 3-1 without Embiid since he's been out. So it looks like the schedule hasn't been the hardest, but it looks like they have enough depth to get ahead to stay afloat as well too. Um, do you think that the 76ers are going to keep that one seed? Do you think they need it? I think they need it. Um, if they have a chance to play against the Nets move forward, because we're anticipating that this is going to be the conference finals matchup. And if the Philadelphia 76ers can get that one seed and they can force the game 7 at Philly, knowing that there's going to be more and more fans coming in day by day, then I
Uh-huh.
think that can help them out as well too. But If they don't get that number one seed, then I'm a little worried as well too. But then again, this is another weird year as well too. And then also after that, um, you talked about with LeBron as well too. Is this 2 week hiatus ruining his MVP chances as well too?
Um, Not Embiid's. I think his performance has been way too dominating. I think it puts a little like blotch on it, but Embiid, those numbers, at his position and what his team is doing right now, no, it doesn't ruin his MVP chances. I think he's still up there, and I think in a season that's like this, even with some of the injuries and whatever like that, I think you still kind of throw the guys with the injuries in that pot because of their bodies of work that they've already put up coming this far into the season. Honestly, when it comes down to the decision making for like who's, we get into it in a few minutes. Um, you know, it, your your placement of such could be different, but that doesn't hinder Joel Embiid. The 76ers are hooping. Like you said, do we see them dropping? Uh, I look still see them spawn to one if the Bucks keep going in this 2 week period where Joel Embiid is not here. Do they have the pieces that can keep them afloat? Of course. But Joel Embiid not being here, the Bucks just being super hot, the Nets, maybe losing some here or there. Could drop to that 3 seed, but at the same time, I could see everything just staying completely the same too. So it's one of those things where we just got to watch. But it would be super safe for the Sixers to stay in first place in the East.
Yeah, I agree with you as well too. So we'll see. And now I'm just kind of just accepting Ben Simmons for who he is. He's just not going to be a guy that's going to impose his will or just shoot threes. He's just going to be like a super sized like Jason Kidd or some shit like that. So,
You
but yeah,
shooting
shout
so
out to
to the
Tobias
point.
Harris. Shout out to Tobias Harris. I think he got slided for All Star. He's an All Star in my eyes, and he's been hooping as well too. So I just want to show
Mhm.
them some love as well. Moving on from them, briefly talk about them. It's crazy. You know me. Wherever Kawhi goes, I go. But I'm still a Spurs fan though. Obviously, like when he left the Toronto Raptors, I still had, I was still on that Toronto Raptors, bandwagon as well too. But I don't know what's going on with them as well too. I think we have more evidence to point to the why behind they're not, successful as opposed to the Boston Celtics. Well, one because they technically all their games are on the road. I mean, you would think they've adjusted to playing in Tampa for their home games, but it's just not the same. That energy is just not the same. That familiarity is just not the same as well too. And right now they're the 11th seed in the East. This is a team that, with or without Kawhi, leading up until this year, they've been like a top two, top three team every single year in the East. And right now they're the 11th seed. They're 17-24 on a 7 game losing streak, 1-9 their last 10 games. Do you see them even getting to at least the 10th seed to play in? And then do you think after the season they're going to be like, all right, we're only going to keep Pascal and we're only going to keep Fred VanVleet and we're probably going to get rid of Kyle Lowry and get some draft compensation back? Like, do you see this scenario where they just kind of start from the bottom again?
Uh, I think the front office might have whatever the front office does with Shai Ujiri. That's how I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
his name,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Cool. That was amazing. Kudos to me because I was gonna butcher that. I thought I was gonna butcher that, but yes, sir, yes, sir. But how they do it? I think I trust him as a GM. I think this is going to be a down year regardless in a way for a lot of reasons. However, we thought Pascal was going to be a little bit more than he was, but right now he's seemed to be consistent in how he's kind of playing and the role and the impact. He's not going to be a Kawhi like figure in any way or maybe even a 1B, but he can still do what he needs to do on the court. Um, I could see him get into a play in. Do I see them bouncing back? No, no, not at all. Uh, are they gonna blow up the team? I think that's tough, man. They had such a strong brand. They're not even 2 years removed in a way from NBA title, right? Not even 2 years, maybe two
Yeah.
years coming up. But
Yeah.
that's tough to say. It's like, hey, we're just gonna abandon shit for a lot of things. I think if it's more more realistic for them, and I'm not a NBA GM owner or whatever like that that knows the ins and outs. If it's more realistic for them, it could happen. But I feel like it can still make some moves here and there. Um, that would it look pretty to say, yo, let's bounce this guy, bounce this guy, bounce this guy because this is not working out. Let's try to get in. But
Pause.
at the end of the day, they're still, even if they do that, they're still gonna be a young or relatively new team, whatever pieces they get, and they're still gonna need a guy like Kawhi to come in and impose his will. Even if you are playing well-oiled basketball, you're still gonna need a superstar, and they don't really have that guy just yet.
Yeah, because yeah, I think they're gonna try to slight Kyle Lowry and not try to pay him as much as he's worth, and just try to get him on that team friendly deal. Obviously, compensating him, but not as much as we grow in
They
coverage. So
should.
maybe like that Tim Duncan type of money or that Dirk type of contract as well too to keep building. But I don't see Pascal Siakam ever being a number one option. I mean, he can be a number one option, but when it comes to playoffs, no. So I think
Right.
he's best served as a Robin, and he's proven he's served as a Robin. But it's kind of weird. Like he was a Robin, but Kyle Lowry also stepped up as a Robin too. So
Hmm.
maybe he's like a two C, I guess, as a number two option. I don't really know. So yeah, they're just missing another. They're missing their home first and foremost because I think that definitely is the biggest thing as well too.
Yeah,
And obviously
probably sucks.
they had some COVID problems as well too. A little bit of knick-knack injuries along the way as well. I think they can get into the playing game. I would like to see them get into the playing game. But if it doesn't happen, then I guess you just have to kind of look yourself in the mirror and just figure out what you want to do. But they definitely do
Yeah.
need another star. Even like a Zach LaVine would be tough for them. But I don't see the Bulls getting rid of him as well too. So they may just have to work with what they have, try to find someone in the draft, and see what happens from there. So I think they're going to be a team that's going to always be like a 5 through 8 seed.
Hmm.
But championship aspirations, I think the window with that closed last year. Like I think last year, knowing that there was no Kawhi, no LeBron in the Eastern Conference, KD was recovering from his injury. I think
Can't
that
get
was their
Giannis.
year that they could have. Yeah, that could have been the year that would have got them. That would have been their last year to go to the finals, even because Miami Heat made the finals last year. Not to take away from them and whatnot, but
Yeah.
that's just how it is as well too. Moving on to one of our last topics, the Los Angeles Clippers. Um, like I said with me, like you notice, like I haven't really been talking about the Clippers like that this entire season because I still have that that vision or that PTSD rather from
Of
how
PG breaking that shot.
a PG breaking that shot and just Kawhi and PG in general just playing like trash game seven. Just the whole team going up 3-1, having championship aspirations. Kawhi and New Balance with the little crown saying he the new king of LA. Just all this hype for this blockbuster film, and then you go to watch the film and the CGI is just trash. No disrespect to Justice League, but the Zack Snyder one, if you haven't watched that, which is 4 hours, is pretty fucking fire.
Okay.
Anyways, go back on topic. Definitely check that film out. By the way, it's pretty good. You have to break it into like two or three chunks. This shit long as
Okay.
hell. But
Okay.
um, yeah, man, this whole year I'm just like, yo, I don't really give a damn what you're doing this season. I just care about how you play in crunch time games, how you sustain your lead, and then how healthy you guys are because last year PG and Kawhi kind of like with the KD situation, they ain't really play that many games together. Kawhi ain't playing back to back, and he just started playing back to back games as well too. And then PG, are you gonna have that dogging when Kawhi is not playing, or
Hmm.
like I said, when it matters most, are you gonna step up and rise to the occasion? So this year they've been up and down. I mean, they've been high as a 2 seed, but now I think they're currently the 4th seed behind the Lakers. They're 27-16, 4-6 in their last 10 games. Pat Bev and Serge Ibaka, who are their two starters at point guard and center position, have been in and out the lineup. You have Kawhi questioning the consistency of the team. You have PG complaining about foul calls. Just got docked 25K for that, which is ridiculous. Even though you're making bread, I don't
Yeah.
think I think you should have some form of freedom in your speech and on you calling out, yo, y'all not calling fouls. Like, what's wrong? I don't
Yeah.
think you should dock someone 25K for that. But this is supposed to be, like I said, with the Celtics as well too. This is kind of supposed to be the stretch where if you're a championship contending team, and even in the past, maybe I just was so spoiled by the Spurs, but the Spurs would be pretty damn consistent 1 through 3 seed um, before All Star break, and then Coach Pop would just turn on a switch, right? Or even
Yeah,
with
facts.
with LeBron that team, they turn on a switch, or OKC in the past with KD and Russ, they turn on a switch, and you're literally winning almost. You're winning out your games, and if anything, you're losing to another contending team as well too. But to lose to, I'm not saying they lost it, but to lose to like the Magic one night, the Bulls or the Hornets, like that's
Not
just not going
consistent.
to cut it as well too. It's not consistent. But what are your thoughts on the Clippers this year? You think they're still a threat, given everything, COVID, injuries with AD and LeBron and whatnot as well too? Because I think they can beat Utah. I think they can beat the Phoenix Suns. Lakers fully healthy, I'm not so sure. We don't know. But then again, they did lose to the Nuggets last year. So I just don't know. And I feel like they, like we said earlier with the whole Lonzo situation, I think they still need a point guard as well too. But
Mhm.
I like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't give a damn until I see you guys in the playoffs back when it starts up. So what are your thoughts on all that?
I think I have the same sentiments, or the same thoughts. Like I don't really care what's going on with them until I see them in the playoffs. But what I see going on right now, like if you haven't seen Last Chance U, I've been watching it the last few, like the basketball joint is pretty good. But like even like the coach
Oh,
on
is
that,
it with is it PG County?
Eastern,
No,
you know, East LA Community
East LA.
College.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. My cousin actually just talking to me about that. It's pretty fire.
yeah. I mean, it's good. It's one of those shows where like you enjoy like seeing it, and seeing the coach's passion and the players trying to overcome that, the adversity they've had in their lives to better themselves through the game of basketball. Classic stuff. But he's always preaching like, yo, this is a good. They're always a good team because they have some of the best players from California and surrounding areas. And however, they're the best team, but it's a discipline thing, it's a consistency thing. Because they're not ever playing for the regular season; they're always playing to try to win the state championship and get everybody scholarships and whatever like that. Same way with same way, different setting with the Clippers. It's like, yo, like none of this regular season stuff matters. What matters is the discipline, the consistency, and how you guys go on. Because if not, and you come into the playoffs and we see some crap like we saw last year, then we're gonna look at the regular season and be like, yo, that's why you couldn't get it together, you couldn't be consistent, you couldn't have some discipline and so on and so forth, where you couldn't come together as a team. So only way this would concern me is if we saw that kind of thing happen to them again, and them not not say not fight per se, but them not perform to expectation in the playoffs. And what's expectation for them in the playoffs this year? um Maybe Western Conference semifinals, semifinals, but you have to lose in a very convincing way for me. If you get to the semifinals and you get your tail kicked, that's a problem. If you get to the semifinals and you lose from a 3-1 deficit, that's a problem. So on and so forth. Like, but if they lose, buzzer beater, they lose by just, they just had their number, maybe injuries or something like that. All right, I kind of get that a little bit more. But for them to get to a certain point and just to have a complete fall off or breakdown, then we have to look back at this and we say this is 2 years in a row. Fool me once, fool me twice, can't get fooled again. As we say in Texas. So, yeah,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. We'll see. And then just to cap things off, who are your top 5 MVP picks right now?
Joel.
Are you going in order, or are you just naming five?
I'm gonna order
So Joel at
Joel,
number one. Mm-hmm.
Joel, LeBron,
Mm-hmm.
Giannis,
Mm-hmm.
Dame, Jokic, and Jimmy
That's
honorable
five.
mention.
So six honorable mention. That's a good one as well too, because Jokic's numbers are actually crazy. But like I said,
Hmm.
when you in a small market like that, you don't get that much publicity. Like no one's gonna care as well too. But you can't really take away from Jokic as well too. Let me pull up his stats real quick, man. I know that shit is
They're
crazy,
crazy, and I
man.
was kind of going off of
27, 11, and
yeah,
9.
yeah, yeah.
Any other
Did I?
year, someone win MVP for that, bro. Any other year. But what
Yeah.
were you saying?
Um, and I don't know if I said these in the order. I think I saw again Embiid, James. I think I put Jokic first. which that's who I want first, only because which they have the same record. So Jokic and Dame could be interchangeable. But so yeah, so Joel, LeBron, Jokic, Dame, Giannis, and then Jimmy Butler, honorable mention. And I was kind of going off of their placement, how their team's playing, such and such like that. So if I was going off of that kind of criteria, Dame and Jokic would be interchangeable because they literally have the same record to this day right now and win percentage. Um, could I argue that Dame might be a little bit more valuable to his team? I think with them, there you could counter argument. You could argue that back and forth. What we've seen Dame do in history is a little bit differently, but also what we saw Jokic do to the and Jamal Murray do to the Clippers last year. Same kind of argument. And there was another team they did it to a year before that too, where we just like, oh snap, Nuggets are getting them, but Nuggets have been consistent. So that Giannis, who could rise in the standings, but um, he's pretty consistent in what we've seen from him year after year. And so he's dominant, and then the playoffs come, and there's some Achilles heel or something happens that kind of stops him in his tracks. And it's like he has to get over that hump, or he has to go back into the more traditional power forward center role to really impose his will. But we haven't seen that adjustment take place in his career yet. To whereas I would just start just throwing him MVP, MVP, MVP. James, there's no need to talk about him. Joel, we just talked about him. No need. But then there's Jimmy Butler, who is I mean, he puts up his numbers and his stats, but he's also the embodiment of not everything that affects the game is in the stat sheet. You know what I'm saying? Like he brings that trap card from Yu-Gi-Oh! That I played my trap card face down. And you flip it up, then you're in a totally different realm or dimension when you're playing him because the pressure's on. It's totally different. He had freaking Bubble who Bubble what's it, he got into it last
Bubble
year with
TJ.
Pacers. Yeah, Bubble TJ spooked. He had him spooked. You like what? Like that's damn near
Oh
like
man.
if people had like Michael Jordan like intimidation points, like if you could add that to people, like Jimmy Butler might have the highest Michael Jordan intimidation points in the league. I mean, other than like maybe like a LeBron, you had Kobe, rest in peace, that probably it's probably Kobe Bryant intimidation points as well. But if we had to spring that all from Michael Jordan, then Kobe Bryant would have like 95 intimidation points. You know what I'm saying? Like those that's pure raw. Like I don't even want to mess with this guy kind of energy. And Jimmy Butler's would be up there in intimidation points. So he brings stuff to the court that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but you just don't want to be around that guy. You don't want to have to compete with him because it's a hard out every single time. So that's my MVP list right there.
I like it. And I like your explanation as well too. And I like the whole little Yu-Gi-Oh analogy. Mine is pretty much the same, honestly, with you. One and B, like I said, from a big, we haven't seen this since Shaq. This dominance as well too, and their team is number one in the East as well. And like you said, I don't think we should penalize someone for missing 2 weeks, especially with the whole COVID protocol going on as well too. You can't really predict if someone's going to be in and out of the lineup as well too. But we know when he's on the floor, he's consistent, and Philadelphia is a championship or bust type of team as well. Two, Goat James. It's every year, right? Like I said earlier with Kyle Kuzma, he literally could be MVP every single year. Now that 1 year when Steph was going stupid, I'm gonna give Steph that. That 1 year when James Harden, you can argue James Harden could be MVP every single year as well too. Those have been the two of them, just like that. That's constant. And then obviously Russell Westbrook triple double. No one's done that in years and years, decades and decades. So those would be the only exception. But other than that, like LeBron every year. Is when you think of LeBron, works with less, durable, is just the leader on the court, off the court. You just have to take everything into consideration well too. And AD's not playing this year, and it's still a top three team right now. So, and we're gonna see how valuable he is when the Lakers start to take these L's too. So he's number two. Number three, James Harden. Obviously, Brooklyn, has loaded up as well too. But to go from the West to the East and lead the league in assists and have Katie miss 19 games, Kyrie being in that lineup as well too. Jeff Green even missed a couple of games with the concussion protocol, I think as well too. Many COVID issues and just find a way to will his team to win and go through that West Coast and beat the top tier, beat every top tier team so far in every any form of style. Um, he's one of those guys I've been taking for granted as well too, and I really used to kind of disrespect him and want to be like, yo, he's not really a point guard. He's not really a point guard. He's actually a point guard that can score.
Yeah.
So I'll put him at number 3. 4, I'm gonna go with Dame Dollar, just because he's missed 2 of his top players in Nurkic, I'm sorry, and also CJ McCollum just came back to have them only 5 games behind. I think the number 1 seed or something like that as well too. And they're probably going to go up because I think in the beginning of the season I said they're going to be the number 2 seed, which they could still be, but
Hmm.
just to see him go and ball out night in and night out is just ridiculous as well too. He's been putting up monster numbers, 30 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 39% from three, 94% from the free throw line, and has played 40 out of 41 games as well too. And like I said, a 25 and 16, 6 in the West, 5 games behind the 1 seed, 2.5 games behind the 2 seed. So I'm gonna give him number 4. And number 5, man, go with Giannis. You got to go with Giannis. He's one of those guys where you know what he's going to do every single year as well too. And honestly, ever since, like I said, the winning streak, but not even just the winning streak, ever since after All Star break, I guess since the All Star game when he went 16 to 16 from the field, he's just been balling lights out as well too. And like I said, he's looking like he's taking that next step on, yo, you can actually count on me as well too down the stretch. And that's what I've been most excited about. And he's just been shooting 3-ball confidence. And the Bucks are always going to be a threat as long as he's on the floor as well too. An honorable mention, I would say Jimmy Butler because he truly is that, yo. Like when I'm not playing, we take L's. When I play, I'm on that. I take things personal. MJ type of flow as well. And then you got Jokic, who, like I said, 28, 11, and 8. Like
Crazy.
that's crazy. So I'm gonna go with honorable mention Jokic,
Okay.
um, and then I'm gonna go with honorable mention Jokic, and then a little, I guess, the bottom tier, the honorable mention Jimmy Butler as well too. But you can mix and match any way you want. But yeah, Jokic has been going crazy, and it's a damn shame where how I feel like for the only way for him to get the number 1 seed, to get the MVP is if you get the number 1 seed in the West. But
Yeah.
those are my 5 picks right there as well too.
Nice.
Any last remarks before we finish the show up?
Shout out to VC basketball on an incredible season. Nice season, and tough season because they got eliminated from contest last night before they played the Oregon Ducks in the first round of the NCAA tournament because of COVID protocols, a whole bunch of rumors and such like that to be as it may why that happened. The coaches have, of course, already confirmed that, hey, we were planning it to the T, like nothing that we did made us kind of have to drop out from this and get penalized. It was really just the nature of this. So the home team's kind of feeling for that, but we've had an amazing season. And then last little shout outs to the all the historical Black colleges that have played in the NCAA tournament. Norfolk State was playing Gonzaga last night. Tough loss, but tough loss to the number 1 team in the country. You put on for the set for the 7-5 and just Black colleges in general. And then Oral Roberts, who took down the Ohio State University and beat them. 15 seed beating the number 2 seed. So they're going to play the Gators today. A little bit of, just some March Madness updates for you guys, but just shouting out and, who should be shout out because those kind of guys are warriors and everybody playing and being safe within that tournament. So other than that, my sentiments and my thoughts are everybody be safe. It's about to heat up. So don't let yourself heat up, be warm, but don't let yourself heat up too. You know what I'm saying? The streets is hot. You know what I'm saying? Don't be hot as the streets. So yeah, man. Everybody be safe out there. And yeah, thank you guys for listening to the Seezus Show. You already know.
Yeah, and then before we even part ways and whatnot, who you got winning the NCAA tournament? Because this is the year where I didn't follow any college basketball as well too. I just knew that my team that I say that I support ever since JJ Redick, Duke, was just been trash this year. And obviously, like I'm gonna keep tabs on VCU, so I feel bad, especially with those seniors as well too, who didn't really get a chance to play. That kind of sucks as well too. But I literally was just filling shit out on the bracket.
Hmm.
I had Georgia Tech win it, and they lose
Yikes.
in the first round as well too. So my whole
That's
bracket's
crazy.
messed up. Um, but
That's
I
crazy.
think yeah. But who you have winning the tournament if you still have them in the tournament right now?
Okay, answering that question. And also, side note, yesterday was a tough day for any of the Virginia teams. VCU didn't get to play. The day before that, Virginia Tech lost to who did they lose to? It was another ACC team. Dang, I forgot who it was. But they lost
Mm.
to them. Virginia Tech lost. And then UVA lost in an upset, like they tend to do. They lost to UMBC that one year. They was like, then they lost yesterday in the first round. After they just won the NCAA tournament. So all the Virginia teams, and even like Coach Shaka Smart lost yesterday too. He lost um to Auburn something, a Christian school or whatever like that. Crazy. So everything that was connected to VCU or whatever like that lost, except for LSU and Cam Thomas, who's from the 757. Oscar Smith, player, and went to Oak Hill. He's the top scorer, pretty much freshman scorer in the nation. He's killing it, league bound. But who I had winning, yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of information about college basketball, but who I had
That's
winning,
good. That's great.
yeah, we'll have to do like a little side. But Michigan, I had Michigan winning my bracket,
That's a
who was
safe
coached
answer.
by yeah, coached by Juwan Howard. I always have Michigan getting far because they always end up in a bracket that's pretty favorable for them, and it would take just a tough battle for them to lose. But I had Michigan, I had Villanova getting pretty far because it's one of those years where they would find a way to win as well. I think one of my other regions probably would have been smashed up because somebody lost that shouldn't have lost. I definitely have Virginia at least getting to the Sweet 16, so that be up.
The Virginia lost, right, or they won?
They lost an upset. They lost to, it was like a 15 seed, I believe. They lost to
I had them going
again.
far too.
Yeah, yeah. They always drop to a 15
They lost
seed.
to
Like,
Ohio. They lost to Ohio.
oh yeah, and this kid from Ohio, he went to a prep school, was playing on the prep school C team, and was posting his like highlights from the prep school C team, not the A team that was on the circuit. Posted his highlights on Twitter and got an offer from Ohio from just his Twitter highlights. And now he just took down Virginia in the NCAA tournament. So that gets me excited. That those stories are crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's just letting you know how far we've come. I think in the past they used to have to actually send out their tapes to different colleges, and now you can just get discovered on social media. So
Yeah, playing on the
that's
C
pretty
team.
wild. Playing on the C team, bro. Playing on the C team. But
Yeah,
good parting words. I appreciate you, my guy.
yes
Ladies
sir.
and gentlemen, that was episode 104 of the Seezus Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at the Seezus Show, at TradingXXIV, at Sir Seezus. We out.
Peace.